Your coding agent can finally remember. AgentMemory is Rohit Gumaray's open-source memory server for Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, Gemini CLI, OpenHuman, and any MCP client. It records what the agent did, compresses the important work into searchable memory, and brings the right context back at the next session. If that works, the daily rhythm changes. You spend less time briefing the tool and more time asking the question that moves the work forward. Most coding agents already have a way to keep notes, but those notes are usually thin, static, and tied to one host. AgentMemory turns memory into a service running beside the agent. One server watches sessions, stores observations, and exposes recall through REST, MCP, and plugins. The repo's promise is simple. Stop treating every session like day one. The live GitHub API shows 9,971 stars, 828 forks, TypeScript as the primary language, and an Apache 2.0 license. The latest release is version 0.9.16, published on May 15, 2026. The repo was pushed again on May 16th. The package version in package.json is also 0.9.16, so the GitHub release and the NPM package line up. Picture the first session, where an agent adds authentication. Next week, another agent handles rate limiting. Instead of rereading the whole codebase, it can remember the auth file, the test pattern, and the library choice. That matters because the memory is shared. A fact saved by Claude Code can be visible to Codex and Cursor as soon as they connect to the same server. AgentMemory is built for the tools people already use. The README shows native or first-party connections for Claude Code, Codex CLI, OpenClaw, Hermes, Pi, and OpenHuman. MCP support covers Cursor, Gemini CLI, OpenCode, Sline, Goose, Aider, and more. The practical move is simple. Connect the host you use and point it at the same local memory server. The automatic capture is what separates this from a memory file. Hooks run when a session starts, when the user sends a prompt, before and after tool use, before compaction, and when the session stops. The system records work as it happens. Then it filters secrets, deduplicates recent observations, compresses the material, and stores it as memory. Recall is built as hybrid search. BM25 catches exact terms and file names. Vectors help with semantic matches. The graph path can follow relationships between concepts. Those signals are fused before context gets injected back into the agent. That means the memory server does not need to dump everything into the prompt. It returns the small set of things that match the current job. The README makes benchmark claims that are unusually specific for a memory repo. It reports 95.2% retrieval at 5 on longmem eval s, 98.6% retrieval at 10, and about 92% fewer tokens than loading large static notes. Treat those as project-reported numbers, but they explain the design goal. The system is trying to preserve recall while shrinking the context bill. Under the hood, it is TypeScript ESM, built on 3i Engine. State sits in file-based SQLite through the Engine State module. The package builds with TS-down, tests with Vite-test, and exposes both a local REST API and an MCP surface. The repo's agents.md file is unusually strict about consistency. If a tool or endpoint changes, the registry, handlers, tests, README, and plugin manifests all have to move together.
Setup is meant to be fast. You can run the package with npx, install it globally, start the server, seed a demo, and wire an agent with AgentMemory Connect. The CLI also handles a real annoyance with npx caching. From version 0.9.16 onward, a first npx run can prompt for a global install, so the plain AgentMemory command works in new shells.
The README starts with the banner, install commands, agent support, benchmarks, comparisons, and the quick start. That order is useful. The repo leads with why memory matters, then proves it is meant to run in real tooling. The details are dense, but the page answers the questions a working developer will ask first. What do I install? Where does it run? Which agents connect? And what does it remember?
The viewer is a practical piece of the project.
It runs on port 3113 and shows memory building live. The session replay view turns recorded prompts, tool calls, tool results, and responses into a scrubbable timeline. This matters for trust. If a system is going to remember your work, you need a way to inspect what it captured and where the recalled context came from. Version 0.9.16 also cleaned up how the project talks about protocols. REST is the primary local API on port 3111. MCP is an optional surface for clients that speak it. When the full server is reachable, the MCP package proxies the larger toolset. Without the server, it falls back to a smaller local set. That is a sensible split because it makes the simple run work while keeping advanced hosts connected. Compared with built-in memory files, AgentMemory is more searchable and less tied to one agent. Compared with heavier memory platforms, it is self-hosted by default and avoids a mandatory vector database. The competitor table calls out BM25 plus vector plus graph search, 0 external databases, leases and signals for multi-agent coordination, and a real-time viewer. The case is practical. It packages the boring memory work. Memory also has a life cycle. Raw observations become session summaries, extracted facts, and procedural patterns. Frequently used memories strengthen. Stale or contradictory information can decay, expire, or get superseded. That is important for coding because old advice can become harmful. If the repo changes its auth layer, last month's note should not outrank the current source of truth. The privacy model needs attention because this tool records real work. The pipeline strips API keys, secrets, and private tags before storage. Integrations warn when a bearer token would cross non-loopback plain HTTP. Deletes go through audit paths. Those are good signs, but the basic advice stays simple. Run it where you control the data, check what it captures, and be careful before sharing the memory store. There are trade-offs. The system depends on 3i engine, Node 20 or newer, local ports, and a daemon that has to stay healthy. Windows works, but the README says it needs the separate native engine in addition to the Node package. Some users will prefer a plain text memory file because it is smaller. AgentMemory is for people who want recall, replay, search, and cross-agent state badly enough to run a service. So the bottom line is this. AgentMemory is one of the clearest attempts to make coding agents remember work across sessions and tools. It gives the agent a shared memory server, automatic capture, hybrid search, a viewer, and plugin support for the major coding agents. If you are already using these tools every day, this repo is worth studying because it moves memory out of the prompt and into infrastructure you can inspect. For more GitHub repo deep dive videos, subscribe to Build Things with AI.